As from January next year, the number of students that will be coming to Canada has further been reduced from 485 to 437,000. So, what does that mean to you? As a student, if you have the vision, if you have the intention of coming to Canada to study as a student, what this means to you now is that start your application on time. Hello, the immigration laws for Canada is really changing, and it's changing very fast. From the beginning of this year, we thought that when Mark Miller started with the change of student visas that would be issued by January, we thought that was everything. But we know that from that January up till now, it's been back to back, no ceasing or no ending of immigration changes. So now, from the beginning of January, the government did say, Mark Miller did announce that he was going to bring down the number of study permits to 485,000. And people were crying because that was like over, it brought it down by over 65 percentage. And so then everybody started hoping for the better, that maybe things will change for the better. Everything was going to be okay. People were still having hope that things will change at some point in time. However, it hasn't really changed that much. It's sad that this is happening at this point in time, but I think with time we're going to know why they are doing this, what is informing the decision of the immigration officer, of the immigration ministers, right? So, with this rate of change, from reduction by 65% in January, and now, as if that's not enough, you know, there is going to be another change. So if you're coming in as a student, there's going to be another change for a study permit for students who wish to come and study in Canada in 2025. So from that percentage of 485,000 that they reduced the study permit into in January, Mark Miller has further reduced it by 10%. So 485,000 is going to be reduced by 10% study permit. So the number of study permit that is going to be issued by Immigration Canada next year is going to be reduced by 10%. And what that means is that from 485,000 that was initially reduced this January 2024, there's going to be a further reduction from 485,000 to 437,000. Yes, Immigration Canada, they are not smiling. And will you blame them? They said a leader, any good leader, will keep good inheritance for their citizens. And so that's what the Canadian government is trying to do. They are trying to fortify their boundaries, their territories for their children, for their generation. So they've reduced it again from the former percentage from 485,000 that they agreed to be issuing in 2024. They have reduced it to 437,000. So January, as from November, as from January next year, the number of students that will be coming to Canada has further been reduced from 485 to 437,000. So what does that mean to you? As a student, if you have the vision, if you have the intention of coming to Canada to study as a student, what this means to you now is that start your application on time, because this is now like the survivor of the fittest. First come, first serve. So if you apply on time and you have any mistake, maybe your visa was refused, I pray that will not be your portion, or maybe your visa was refused for any reason. Starting on time will help you to be able to reapply. Whereas if you don't start on time and then you apply at the end of the time, like very towards the end deadline, you won't have that chance, because this is strictly survivor of the fittest, from 485,000 to 437,000, you know. So apply on time so that you will there will be time for reapplication should there be anything that you missed out. Then the second change that they just applied now is this. If you remember somewhere in March, if you go to my video, I think I did a video, 8 different changes in immigration rules. If you check my YouTube, you'll see that video. So in March, there was a change from, before March 2024, if you apply to schools and you get admitted into that school, you actually get the go ahead to apply for your visa without any protocol. But from March 1st to March 31st of 2024, there was an implementation of what they called provincial attestation letter. So this provincial attestation letter, I did a full video on it, so go and check it out. So what that means is that if you are a student and you apply to schools, you do no longer have the rights, as it used to be, to just go and apply for your visa. You need to now go to the province, the province where you are applying. For example, if you are applying to the province of Saskatchewan, the province will now issue you a provincial attestation letter. It is not that provincial attestation letter that you will not take to immigration, to apply. You upload it in your application for a visa. So provincial attestation letter became a requirement, a very essential requirement in the process of visa application in March this year. And when that law was implemented, there were exceptions to the case. That means some certain people were exempted from that provincial attestation letter. People who needed the attestation letter at that time were just people who were going to colleges, or people who were going to do diploma or any course that was under 2 years. But now the law just changed again. So there is no longer exemption for anybody. No exemption anymore. Everybody, if you are applying as a student to Canada, you are now required to have your provincial attestation letter. Before now, masters were not required. If you were doing any course that was masters 2 years and above, you were not required, but not anymore. See, a lot of changes. They are tightening their boundaries. They are tightening their immigration laws because a lot of people have done havoc through this. So every student now needs attestation letter, provincial attestation letter. The other thing that has a big change to it is the postgraduate work permit eligibility. The postgraduate work permit eligibility. So before now, after you finish your studies, you apply for your postgraduate work permit. You were not required to do any exams before you can apply for your postgraduate work permit, because I think the first criteria was that the only criteria was that you've completed your studies and you have your certificate to issue. And once you have those things in place, you would apply for your work permit or your postgraduate work permit, and you'll be granted. But now, the story has changed. You now need to write your IELTS exam and pass it, and your CEPIC at level 7. What does that mean to you as a student? If you are already in the system or you are coming in as a student, so you need to be very proactive, because time is a necessity in immigration process in Canada, and I guess in every part of the world. Time is a huge factor. You need to work with time because you don't have your old time. You don't have the old time as an immigrant. So you need to work with time. So what is the suggestion? What is my recommendation? If you are graduating, for example, by December, you should actually start writing your IELTS now or your CEBIC. Why now? Because one, if you don't reach the required score of 7, you will need to rewrite again. And sometimes the centers can be so full that you don't have a spot for the mod that you intend to write. So once you start doing it now, there's no way you won't pass it between now and December when you are due to apply for your work permit. So please, you don't want to just finish studying and you don't have a replacement for your fund. Okay? So please do that and don't say, I have the time. Procrastination is not a thing in Canada. You have to be very timely. You have to do things when you should do it so that it does not backfire on you. And then the next one that is so like really touching is the spousal work permit. Remember, before now, you who is coming as a student could bring your spouse and your children directly with you. If you are coming to study in Canada before now, you could bring your spouse, you could bring your children, and you can bring them with you to Canada, and then all of you will come together as a family, so long as you have the proof of fund to prove that once you get to Canada, you will not have any recourse to public fund. And most times, because Canada is a country that encourage family unity, they always give to family. But now it has changed. You can't come with your spouse anymore. Having said that, I'm not saying you can't come at all at all. What I'm saying now is that if you are doing a course that is less than 16 months and below, any course 16 months and below, you cannot come with your spouse immediately. So if, for example, let me give example so I don't confuse you more than I don't leave you confused more than I met you. So if, for example, if you're coming to study a diploma course or in a college that is less than 1 year, you can't come with your spouse anymore. If you want to come with your children, you can come with your children. But the thing is this, you also need to know that if your children are not grown, they are not grown enough, that's going to be a stressful situation for you to be able to cope with looking after children by yourself and studying at the same time. But if you have the money for caregiver to look after your children, to pick them after, to put them in what's it called? To put them in nursery or something, fine. Having said that, if your children are of age that can go to elementary, that will be very helpful for you. You can bring your children just in the morning. Your children leave for school, you leave for school, and so you are able to study, and your children are studying for free. So that's a win-win. But if you are studying a course that is 16 months and above, like mostly masters, you can bring your family with you. And so your husband, for example, if the wife is the one studying, your husband can be working. Your husband can actually be working full time and be supporting you. So you might not even have to work during your school time. And plus, your children can also be going to school. They can be schooling for free. And if you are in a province that is very scanty, not highly or densely populated, like in Saskatchewan, if you have a spouse that has open work permit and this spouse gets a full-time job, this spouse can actually apply for a permanent resident after 6 months of working full-time job. So that way, if after your spouse has applied for his permanent resident, he can now apply and add you as his own dependent. So all things working together between that 1 year before you finish your first year masters, you probably become a permanent resident. And then you can even reapply. You can ask for a domestic fee after then. So these are the great changes. Why am I saying this? You need to be well informed before you can make your decision. All hope is not lost. You can still come to Canada to achieve your dream. And somebody might want to ask, well, if I'm not married? If you are not married, better for you. So you can just do the 1 year course, apply for your postgraduate study. I mean, do your English test, apply for your postgraduate study, and you are continue. You have to, and then you are good to go. So this is the information that I thought I should update you on with regards to the Canadian immigration changes. Please get your information right before you embark on this journey. A lot of people are doing a lot of things. I'm going to be doing the next video I'm going to be doing is going to be on asylum seeker. I'm going to be talking about that, so I don't want to mention it here. Please do your due diligence. Do your due diligence. Seek out information before you embark on this journey. It is good to be abroad. Abroad is good, but if you don't do it right, you might not enjoy it because when they start chasing you up and down, it's not going to be a pleasant thing. So you want to get your information right. You want to get your figures right. You want to get your facts right. Make sure you are ready financially. Make sure you are ready emotionally. Make sure you are ready psychologically because it can be very stressful. Can be very stressful. So yeah, if you've watched this video up till now, that means there was a reason you watched it up till now. So, and if you've not subscribed to my channel, I beg you to subscribe. My appeal to you is to subscribe and please share this information. They said information is power. Share this information to families, share it with friends, share it with your neighbors. People are getting stranded by the day. People are doing things that they never imagined they could do because of frustration. Don't let people you know get to that level. Share information with them. These are the changes right now. So if you are coming in as a student, you need to be well informed. You need to know what you are in for so that you'll be able to make that decision if you are really ready to go for it. So thank you for watching. And if you are new to the Global Asset family, you're welcome. to Global Asset Family, where information is given to everyone free of charge. It's a beacon of empowerment. If you are not informed, you are deformed. What you don't know, they say, is bigger than you. So with this, I say goodbye and see you in my next video. Thanks again for watching. Bye.
Kaya